Hey guys, welcome back to another video in this series of Git Crash Course. So, as you can see on my screen, today we are going to talk about the interview questions. Before moving in the video, I would like to request that if you have not subscribed my channel, kindly do so. So, let's dive right into the video. So, talking about these videos, talking about these questions, what I'm trying to say is that these are not the only question that someone can ask in the interview. So, first of all, you should keep this thing in your mind that Git is huge and there are a lot of other things that are not taught in this Git crash course. It is just a crash course and we have told you how to get started. So there could be any questions. There are multiple questions that are not covered in this course. But these interview questions are from the very basic thing and depends on the course that we have taught you. So at least these questions you should be prepared with. So let's dive in. So the first question is, what are the advantages of using a command line? If you have noticed, in this whole course, we have used most 90% of the time our command line, and on the last 2-3 videos we have used the GitHub. So why we did that? So first of all, that new features arrive on the command line first, and mostly all the online help is available on command oriented. It's basically command line oriented. So 2 points you have to keep in mind, that new features arrive on the command line first and mostly all online help is a command line oriented thing. So that would be the answer of your first question. The next question is how to uniquely identify a commit. So if you remember, in the first few videos we have talked about SHA1 and SHA1 or SHA1 hash, that is responsible for uniquely identifying a commit. So any git commit will be identified by that. The next question is, what's the default branch in any git repository? So the straight answer is master or main. So there was a controversy that happened, due to which people are now ignoring the word master or slave. Now they are calling it main. So previously it was master. So now you guys can tell it like master or main. So that would be the answer to your question. Next question is, what are the other Git hosting providers? So we have talked about only GitHub in this course, but there are multiple. For example, Bitbucket and Azure Repos, and your the AWS also has their code commit, and GitLab, and there are multiple others. So these are the uh, multiple Git hosting providers available. Not GitHub is not the only one. Let's move on to the next question, which says, is there any difference in Git commands if I use them on a Mac or a Windows? It does not matter wherever you type your command. Even if it's a Mac or a Windows, the command should be the same, and there won't be any difference in any sort of commands. So the installation part can be different, like we have installed an exe in case of Windows. It could be different in terms of any sort of Linux or a Mac, but the commands and the concept of Git would be the same. So let's move on to the next question, which is, passphrase is a must while creating an SSH key. So if you remember that when we created an SSH key, it asked us that what passphrase you want to give, but we didn't give anything. So it's not completely necessary, but it's a good practice. So that's the answer to your question. Next question is, what are the commands to use while communicating with Git remote Git repo? So when we talk about remote Git repo, what is the first thing that comes in our mind? We have discussed about GitHub. So the first command which we discussed was git clone, and then we had a git pull, git push, in which we pushed the local repository to the git repo on GitHub, and then git fetch for checking out the local changes from GitHub, and then git branch -r, which checks how many branches and what are the branches are there on the remote. So these are the few commands that we talked about. Let's move on to the next question. Why do we need -u parameter in git commands? So -u, if you remember, is used for untracked. So if the git is not tracking any sort of file, you have to use -u. Sometimes it's only one time process, and once it starts getting tracked, you don't have to use it anymore. So that's the answer to your question. Next question is, why it is recommended to issue the git pull command immediately before git push. So first of all, it's a good habit to develop. Even if you are sole owner and there is no one who can touch your repository, it is a good habit to develop, and it comes in the best practices for Git. So if, and on the other hand, if there are multiple developers and it's kind of a chaotic environment, then you can avoid, because avoid some failures, because if someone has done any sort of change since the last time you pulled since the last time you pulled the repository into local, your code will have some sort of merge conflicts. So this is some other concept. So that's the answer to your question. And the last question for today is how to create a branch in Git. If you remember, there are two ways. First, you can go to GitHub, and from the left side you can just drop down, type a name, and then click on it, and you can create a branch. And on the local, you can give a command, git branch -b, and after that you can give a branch name that you can create for your command. So these are the 10-11 questions that you, at least these questions you should know before going in interview. And these questions are entirely based on the course that we have studied till today. And I'm saying it again, and I'm repeating it one more time, that these are not the only questions that you guys need to do, because Git is huge and there can be multiple questions that comes. And this video marks as the last video to this series as promised. And if there are any videos that needs more information on Git or something, I can create in future, but on a different series or on a different playlist. So if you, so one more advice uh, before I just close my lid down for today. So just go back again to this video from the starting, and just pause for every question and try to answer that question. And if you are able to answer that, it means that you have totally understood what I have taught you in this course, and this is the first step, and you have flagged your pole. So I think you have understood everything, and I assume that you have learned a lot in this course. And and if there is any other issue, feel free to comment below and we'll address that. So thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next series.